The package arrived at Amara's Emory University office on a Tuesday morning in October, 6 months after she had left Seoul. Not an email, not a message through any of the channels a reasonable person would use in the year they were currently living in. A physical package, wrapped in the same plain brown paper she recognized from the last one. No return address. Atlanta postmark. She stared at it for a long time before she touched it. Her office was small and overfull in the way of academics who had moved across the world twice and accumulated books at every stop, stacked on the floor, double-shelved, one precarious tower on the windowsill that her graduate students had named Mount Dissertation and refused to touch. On her desk, between two coffee mugs and a stack of ungraded papers, sat the package. Plain, patient, waiting. She opened it. Inside, a single item, a USB drive. And beneath a note card, for words in Korean, different from the last four. 디주 원주 세드, 당신이 옳았습니다. You were right. She turned the drive over in her fingers. Then she did what any reasonable, professionally cautious woman who had already been entangled once with a Korean crime syndicate would do. She plugged it in. One audio file, 43 minutes long. The file name was a date, the date of her dissertation defense. She put her headphones in and pressed play. It was Jang's voice, speaking in Korean, formal register, clearly recorded alone. And what he was doing, what she realized within the first 90 seconds, was reading her dissertation out loud. The anonymized version. The published version that had gone live in the university repository 3 weeks after her defense. He had found it. He had read it. And now he was recording himself reading the chapter titled When the Performance Collapses in a voice that was completely, utterly stripped of the control she had always heard in it before. He stopped at a particular passage, the one where she described the dominant party experiencing, for the first time in a significant period, the sensation of being seen accurately, and he was quiet for 11 seconds. She counted. Then he said, still in Korean, quietly, to no one in the room with him. She was watching the whole time, not angry. Not cold, just the specific sound of a man understanding something too late. Amara took her headphones out. She sat in her office, surrounded by her books and her ungraded papers and the Atlanta October light coming through the window, and she did not move for a very long time. Then she picked up her phone and called Senna. He found the dissertation, she said. Senna was quiet for exactly 1 second. I told you he would. He recorded himself reading it. Another silence. Longer this time. Amara. I know. That man flew the dissertation to Atlanta in a box just so you couldn't ignore it. He didn't fly it. He mailed it. That is not the point, and you know that is not the point. Senna's voice had taken on the very specific register it used when she was trying to be the reasonable one and finding it difficult. What are you going to do? Amara looked at the USB drive sitting on her desk next to the note card. You were right. I don't know, she said. And for the first time in a very long time, she genuinely didn't. If you watched episode 1 and you are back for episode 2, I see you and I love you. If you're new here, go watch episode 1 first, because this story does not work the same way without it. Subscribe right now, hit the like button, and drop a comment telling me if you think Amara should respond. Because what happens next depends on a choice she did not expect to have to make. Let's go. She did not respond for 2 weeks. This was a deliberate decision that she revisited 17 times in 14 days, argued with herself about in 3 languages, and ultimately kept, because responding felt like stepping back through a door she had been very careful to close properly behind her. She was building something here. The postdoc at Emory was real and demanding and good. Her research was getting traction. She had 3 graduate students who came to her office hours and actually argued with her ideas, which was the only kind of graduate student worth having. She was home. She was sleeping properly for the first time in 18 months. So was a chapter. Jang Hyun-woo was a case study, anonymized and published and filed. She told herself this every morning while making coffee. On the 15th day, her phone rang at 6:45 in the morning with a Seoul country code she did not have saved but recognized anyway, because she had looked at it enough times on the restaurant's reservation system during 18 months of shifts at Goryeo. She let it ring. It rang again immediately. She answered. It's 6:45 in the morning. I know, Jang said. His voice was exactly the same. I calculated the time difference. Then you also calculated that I'm not awake. You answered. She had no response to that, because it was accurate. She sat down on her kitchen counter, the reflex of her old apartment in Seoul, her body defaulting to the posture of difficult conversations before her brain had fully arrived. Why are you calling? I need to tell you something. You could have put it in the package. No, he said simply. I couldn't. Outside the Atlanta window, the sky was the pale gray of very early morning, the kind of light that had not decided yet what the day was going to be. She could hear Seoul in the background of his call. Faint traffic, the particular acoustic texture of a city that never fully slept. What do you need to tell me? She said. He was quiet for a moment. When Jang Hyun-woo was quiet, it was never because he lacked words. It was because he was choosing them with the precision he applied to everything. The Shin faction is moving again, he said. They have been asking questions about you, about where you went, about your university, about your research. The kitchen went very still around her. How long have you known this? She said. Her voice came out steady. She was a little surprised. 3 weeks. 3 weeks. She set her coffee mug down. You sent me a USB drive with a recording of yourself reading my dissertation instead of telling me I might be in danger. You were not in danger at that point. You're not in danger now. I have it handled. You have it handled, she repeated. From Seoul. Yes. That's what you said the last time. The silence on his end was different from his usual silences. Heavier. She recognized it. It was the sound of a man who knew he had just been handed a fair point and was not going to argue with it. I know, he said. That's why I'm calling. She called the university's international security liaison that morning. The liaison was a former State Department woman named Patricia who had the energy of someone who had seen everything twice and found most of it manageable. Amara explained the situation in the careful, edited version. A contact from her Seoul research period had flagged a potential concern from an organization connected to her fieldwork. Patricia listened, asked 4 precise questions, took notes, and told her to send everything she had in writing by end of day and not to share her office schedule publicly until further notice. It was the most efficiently frightening conversation Amara had ever had. She texted Senna, Shin faction is tracking me. Senna's response came back in 40 seconds. I am on a flight to Atlanta. Do not argue with me. Amara typed, you have a job. Senna typed back, I have vacation days and a best friend who is being watched by Korean organized crime. Vacation days when? Amara stared at her phone. Then she typed, he called me this morning. 3 dots. Then I know. I could tell from your voice when you said you didn't know what to do. You always know what to do, Amara. Always. Except with him. She put her phone face down on the desk and looked at her office ceiling for a while. Jang called again at noon Atlanta time. She answered on the second ring this time, which she recognized as a small capitulation and chose not to examine. Tell me exactly what they're looking for, she said. No greeting. Information, he said. They believe you documented more than your dissertation contains. The Shin faction has become aware of the case study. They have made the connection that the dominant party in your research is connected to our organization. They want to know what else you observed, what else you recorded, whether it constitutes any kind of exposure risk. I published everything I observed. There was nothing else. I know that. Then tell them that. I have. A pause. They don't entirely believe me. Why not? Because, he said, and something shifted in his voice. A very small thing, like a door opened 1 centimeter, which she was beginning to understand was his maximum. I have not been entirely predictable in matters involving you. They know something is different. They don't know what. That makes them nervous. Amara pressed her fingers against her forehead. Outside her office window, the Emory campus moved in its ordinary afternoon rhythm. Students cutting across the quad, a bicycle, the sound of someone's lecture drifting from an open window. All of it completely indifferent to the conversation happening in her office. Jang, she said. Yes. How unpredictable have you been? He took a breath. I ended a 5-year financial relationship with the Shin faction 2 months after you left Seoul. She had not known this. Why? Because Part J1 made a comment. About you. About the situation last year. About the fact that a waitress had been the reason I pulled back from a major negotiation. He paused. I did not appreciate the framing. So you ended a 5-year business relationship? Yes. Over a comment. It was the wrong comment. His voice was flat and final in the way that meant the sentence was not as simple as it sounded. I don't allow people to speak about certain things in certain ways. The office was very quiet. Amara realized her hand was pressed flat on her desk, the same way it had been during the confrontation in the private room, her body defaulting to the posture of someone bracing for what comes after honesty. I'm a certain thing, she said slowly. He did not answer immediately. Yes, he said. Just that. She exhaled. This is a problem. I am aware. You made yourself a target by protecting me, and now they're coming sideways at me to get to you. That is an accurate summary. And you thought the right first response was to mail me a USB drive. I thought you deserved to know that I read your work before I told you any of the rest. Another pause. The order mattered to me. If you're still watching, drop a comment right now. I need to know if you're Team Amara, standing her ground, or Team Jang, trying to make it right in the only ways he knows how. Like this video, if this episode has you feeling things you did not plan to feel today. We are not done yet. Keep watching. Senna arrived 2 days later with 2 suitcases, a bottle of Palm, wine she had managed to transport in checked luggage without incident, and the focused energy of a woman who had decided that her best friend's complicated situation was going to be handled whether Amara cooperated or not. She set the Palm wine on Amara's kitchen counter and said, "Tell me everything." From a USB drive. All of it. Amara told her. All of it. The recording. The calls. The Shin faction. The ended business relationship. The comment Park J1 had made. She told it in order, factually, in the same clinical tone she used to present research. And approximately halfway through, Senna sat down on the kitchen floor. Not in distress, but in the particular way of someone whose legs have decided this news requires a different proximity to the ground, and listen to the rest from there. When Amara finished, Senna was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, "He ended a 5-year criminal organization partnership because someone spoke about you disrespectfully." Yes, Amara, this man is in love with you. He doesn't know me well enough for that. He read your dissertation out loud alone in a room and recorded it. That's intellectual respect, acknowledgement of the work. He sent you the recording to show he understood what he had. Amara, Senna's voice was very gentle and very firm at the same time. Stop using academic language to describe your feelings. Just for 5 minutes. Just here with me on this kitchen floor. Amara opened her mouth. Then she closed it. She slid down off the counter and sat on the kitchen floor next to Senna. The linoleum was cold. The Atlanta evening outside was warm and orange through the window. She pulled her knees to her chest and sat with it for a moment. The thing she had been putting clinical language around for 6 months, the thing she had filed under complicated and inadvisable and not a factor. I don't know what to do with him, she said finally. It came out smaller than she expected. You know exactly what to do with him, Senna said. You're just scared that doing it means the story isn't the clean thing you wrote it as. The dissertation is already published. I'm not talking about the dissertation. She called him back that night. Atlanta time, which meant Seoul, was waking up. She could hear in the background when he answered. A city beginning its day while she was sitting cross-legged on her kitchen floor still, Senna asleep on her couch, the palm wine opened between 2 mismatched cups. I need to ask you something, she said. And I need the real answer, not the managed one. All right, he said. Why did you really mail me the USB drive first? Before the warning. Before the Shin faction. Why did that come first? He was quiet. Not the calculating quiet. The other one. The one she had heard for 11 seconds on the recording, the 11 seconds of silence after the passage about being seen accurately. Because, he said, I wanted you to know that I understood what you had done. Not just that you outsmarted me in a restaurant. What you actually did. Over those months. What you saw. A pause. You wrote me more accurately than anyone has ever written about me. Including myself. I needed you to know I had read it. Before anything else. Amara pressed her back against the kitchen cabinets. The floor was still cold. That's a vulnerable thing to say. I know. You don't do vulnerable. I'm learning, he said, and the dryness in it. The slight edge of self-awareness was so unexpectedly human that she almost laughed. Almost. Tell me about the Shin faction, she said. Everything. Not the managed version. What is the actual level of risk? He told her. He told her with the same flat precision he used for everything, and it was manageable. The Shin faction was probing, not mobilizing. They wanted information, not confrontation. The question of her dissertation was a pretext. What they actually wanted was leverage over Jiang, and without finding something she had documented, they had nothing. Patricia at the university security office, as it turned out, had already been quietly in contact with an international liaison department that had certain relationships with certain Korean government entities that made organizations like the Shin faction prefer to avoid American academic institutions entirely. Amara had not known this until Jiang told her, which meant Patricia had handled it without telling her, which was either very reassuring or very alarming, depending on how you looked at it. So I'm not in immediate danger, she said. No, you were never in immediate danger. I should have told you sooner. I am sorry. She registered the apology. Stored it. Jiang Hyunwoo, saying sorry was still a thing that required a moment. And the Shin faction, will they stay managed? As long as I stay careful, yes. A pause. I am generally careful. You ended a 5-year business relationship over a comment. That was careful, he said. The alternative was considerably less so. She didn't ask what the alternative had been. She filed that under things she did not want the answer to, the same category she had maintained carefully through 4 months of Saturday coffee conversations. Some rooms you did not open the door to. It did not mean the rooms weren't there. I'm coming back to Seoul, she said. The silence on his end was very different from any silence she had heard from him before. Not calculating, not layered, just open. The specific sound of a man who has been hoping for something and does not entirely trust that he heard it correctly. Why? He said carefully. I have a conference at Yonsei in December. I was planning to decline. I'm going to accept. She paused. The research pulls me back. There are things I still want to study. The research, he said. Yes. Another pause. Amara. Yes. Is it the research? She looked at the palm wine on the counter. At Senna's sleeping form on her couch. At the Atlanta night through the window. At the USB drive sitting on her kitchen table next to his note card. You were right, which she had moved from her office to her apartment without consciously deciding to. Some of it is the research, she said. Yes. She could hear him breathe. The specific exhale of a man who has been carrying something heavy and has just set it down for a moment. Not forever, but for right now. I'll arrange the car, he said. I don't need a car. I know you don't need one. Jiang. Yes. For drafts, she said. You did 4 drafts of that letter. Yes. Nobody has ever done 4 drafts for me. He was quiet for a moment. When he spoke, his voice was lower than usual, stripped of the last of its professional armor. Then they weren't paying enough attention, he said. She sat with that in the kitchen for a long time after the call ended. Senna stirred on the couch and said, without opening her eyes, You're going back to Seoul. I have a conference at Yonsei. A pause. You're smiling. You can't even see my face. I can hear it, Senna said, and went back to sleep. Outside the Atlanta window, the last of the evening had gone fully dark. Somewhere in Seoul, 12 hours ahead, Jiang Hyunwoo was beginning a morning that he had not expected to begin this way. She did not know what he looked like right now, whether he was standing at that same kitchen window with the city lights behind him, or in the car with Kim, who would say nothing but hold his expression slightly too carefully, or somewhere else entirely. She had studied his language for months and written 40 pages about how he used it, and she still did not have a full map of him. That was, she understood now, part of it. The parts she hadn't gotten to yet. December was 2 months away. She opened her laptop and accepted the Yonsei conference invitation before she could talk herself into the managed version of the decision. Then she opened the document she had started on the plane over the Pacific, the one with no title, the one that started with a woman standing in a private dining room while a man performed his certainty at her. She had written 4 pages on the plane. She had not opened it since landing in Atlanta. She read from the beginning. Then she kept writing. She wrote until the city outside went fully quiet. She wrote the way she had written her dissertation, with the particular focus of someone who knows they are working on something true. When she finally saved and closed the laptop, it was past 2 in the morning, and the document was 11 pages long, and she had not found a title yet, but she was less worried about that than she had been before. Titles arrived eventually. The work came first. She was not small. She had never been small. She was just getting started. And that is the end of episode 2. If you made it here, you are exactly who this channel is made for. Drop a comment right now telling me what you think is going to happen when Amara lands in Seoul in December. Is Jang going to be at that airport? Is the Shin faction going to make one last move? I read every single comment, and they shape where this story goes next. If you're not subscribed yet, please do it right now. Hit the bell, like this video, and share it with someone who needs a story that reminds them what it feels like to be seen properly. Episode 3 is coming, and I promise you, Seoul in December is not going to be quiet.